Greetings, everyone. We are going to be putting together an API service that will provide a blog. In case the restaurant owner has a blog, we'll basically be able to provide it. Now, if they don't have a blog, it just won't show up at all. But we'll provide the address within their local data, so that once it realizes it has it, it'll go to that address and grab it from this PHP service that I'll show you. It's very simple, a few lines of code to get this thing working. And we're going to be taking it from this here, the original React project that I showed at the beginning of this course. And so we already have this kind of layout. This will be what the end looks like. But as you can see, we'll not be using React. So we're just going to take this HTML that it rendered, and we'll use that as the skeleton for our HTML components. Now, clearly in React, it does, work through the JSX in a case where it'll map through all the line items and whatnot. And obviously, in this case, we'll be building out a string that basically keeps building upon itself until it's done with the for loop, and therefore that will be inserted into an HTML component, as opposed to a JSX component having it integrated in there with, let's say, like a ternary operator or something. Very basic stuff that we'll be doing here, stuff that's been available as concepts since the 90s. But the reason I'm choosing this, as I've mentioned in the past, is because JavaScript is something that will run. It'll just render. It's just on runtime. And you don't have to compile it if you don't want. And I'm taking full advantage of that here, because these kind of things can be hosted for free on places like GitHub. So here I am. I've taken the HTML, and I'm getting it prepared for what I'll be doing. And in this case, I'll be doing some contact information as well. And I'll also have targets, that the address, the phone number, and coincidentally, the contact map, which is for the iframe embedded code, that's going to be something that we'll take off of the local addresses that are stored in our local data, and then we'll compile and we'll bring them into this the contact map, and then from there, the source attribute will be provided, and we'll be able to have everything work out just the way we want on our contact page. So as you can see in the top, I'm going ahead and make this happen by grabbing everything and applying the attributes necessary. And in the future, I'm actually going to be doing everything so it won't be hard-coded either. It'll be just everything will be coming in from your local data. All right, so we're starting to see this thing come together. Let's go back, and you can see that HTML. So clearly this is not right now an active working blog. This is just going to be the skeleton for it. And so let's make this a unique target so that I can, I'll basically know where to point all my data once I've compiled it and brought it all together. And in my local data, right underneath it, I'll just go ahead and have some kind of blog data default to start with. And then, very similar to our async function over here, we're going to do that again for the blog. And it's just a async await, and we'll be doing something very similar. And we'll be utilizing that address as well. So just bear with me. We'll go ahead and start the function off similar to the way the other one started off on the start function. And instead of get menu, we'll have something called get blog. And that URL to start with will be a PHP relay address. So that's where the service exists. And I'll rename the function get blog. And it really does respond very much similar, the same way. The data will be structured differently. Otherwise, you could, if it was structured the same, you could actually just do a string of the addresses and fire off the same function. But in this case, since we're doing a class, I'm going to keep them separate so that we can kind of read them independently, as it'll be it's easier to just kind of understand to somebody with the naked eye. So one thing that I need to do, obviously, if I'm going to be working with this, is I need to get that PHP file. As you can see right now, it's working, but it's just putting through the object. It doesn't. That just stands for this thing worked, basically. And now have this file needs to be uploaded to my Linux account online. So behind the scenes, what you're seeing is me just kind of getting the file prepared. And then, as you can see, also I am missing PHP on the end of that address. So in a second, we'll see a little more detailing of I need to get the blog address, and I just need to make sure that everything is matching up correctly with the right variable names. And blog will be a variable that is going to be universal, so I'll put that in the beginning of the actual functionality page as well. So it'll all be accessible through different functions. Anyway, so the blog scroll also, this is going to be the place where when you click on next or previous, this was copied from the original React. Basically, it just goes through the list, and then once it gets to the end of the list, it starts back at the beginning. And that's pretty much it. It's just for the as you can see right there. And when I go to sources, yeah. So go to see how this all works. It's all right here. You just copy and paste it. We're going to take out the ternary operator, and we'll put in a data target, so that it no longer works for the React. It works like, hey, once you've gotten your string together, I need you to point this here in this H1, active and total. And actually here, with the clicks, you have to have the functions written in a obviously different way than they are in React, but still can do the same thing. So just the syntax is a little different since we don't have JSX available. But just take out anything there and replace it with whatever you would do in regular JavaScript, and this all is going to be fine. And just everything needs to have an address that's unique so that you know where to apply your data once you've gotten it compared, just like I said. And there's really not a lot of things going on. We got a title, we got a publish date, and we got the description. This is really normal things in an RSS feed. These are the very basics of the feed itself. And so I'm just clearing out all the rest of that syntax. And as you can see here, it's kind of ugly because I need to make sure that it doesn't say class name. It needs to say class. So we'll change that up, and we'll start seeing a little more of this thing evolve into what we're looking for. Now we'll put in the view posts. We got to know which direction it is. And I went ahead and put the list of my targets so that I'll know what I'm doing. And here is the React source. And if you're ever curious how to look at what somebody wrote in a React project, you just go to the source and you go down here to the static JS, and these are the files that they're not. This is exactly how it looks on when they were made before they were compiled. So it all, if you're ever in doubt, just go there and get however they wrote it. And this is, like I said, it goes to the end of whatever array list of images that are here, or list of things that are in this object, and then it just goes and starts at the beginning. So this blog will go to from the first one all the way to the end, and then start over. Now, it used to be written in class components, so we're not using this state anymore. Take that out and just write the word blog, because that's all it is. And we also can, we also put this together where I'll have it fire off the first blog post on load. And so I'm going to write something in here that will say, hey, if this is on load, we're going to go ahead and just do the first post, and you can disregard what direction it is. So you'll see me do that here in a second. Now the active post is always going to start off as 0 for me. That's just the beginning. And obviously set state doesn't really mean anything, so we're going to clear that out and replace it to active post. And here we go. We'll start using our targets. Yep. Now the publish date. Obviously going to go ahead and write target for that as well. And this is just like our events component. Like as this thing goes through, you just go through the object and put the data right where they're targeted. There we go. That just kind of, and as you can see, we have our cores cross-origin resource sharing error. Now everybody knows that this is a Linux thing that you basically will need to let it know what addresses we will be accepting requests from. And right now, since I don't have the correct one, we're going to go ahead and see, I have it as my local 192.168. That's my URL that it's coming from, and of course that is not something that I told it was going to be okay. And so what I've done is, first off, I noticed that I need to put PHP at the end of this, and that will make it work. So I need to change my address just with that extension PHP. Oh, not there. Over at the end. There. Sorry about that, but now, well, that is the correct address now. But as you can see, it's still a cross-origin problem because I have registered my GitHub page to be the accepted one, not this page, my local, which is just a number anyway, and then the port. So let's take a look at the PHP service. Here it is. Now you see it's real specific, and it just all it wants is to have it all the way to the Aaron RSS 2002.github.io. That's all it really cares about. I'm giving it too much information here. So as you can see, I'm just going to go ahead and change that header. And I'm also going to find out the hard way that I don't need that last slash either. So this also guarantees that it will never work on my local. So what I'm going to do is copy it working as I do here. Copy the working thing from the correct place. See here, that's the correct spot accepted from. And let's do a copy of that object data. And while I'm working, I'm going to put that data in here. And the reason being is I won't be able to see what I'm doing otherwise. And this will just be for while I'm working here. And you'll see I'll have to turn off the request as well so I can get things going. And so blog is now a universal variable that just gets updated once this thing is successful. And so let's go ahead and get ready to move things around so they get called in the correct order. Sometimes you don't want to call something before it's been introduced. So depending on hoisting and whatnot, I just want to make sure that everything's kind of, the functions below are aware of, are going to be calling functions that and things that are above. That's just kind of my key of like ordering things. So here, now that I'm working with the local data, I've got to shut this down so that it's not calling for that blog. And now I can go work. So I'm asking it to go view posts, and I'm saying I'm going to send it to 0 through that argument. And I've got to move these around, obviously, so that once all those if statements are finished, we get to the active post, correct description, title, and publish date. Now here at the top, direction, I need to figure out what has sent me. If it's a number, because I gave it a 0. I needed to do something basically that doesn't have anything to do with next or post. So I'm just going to move all this stuff over. So if it's not a number, it'll do what it was supposed to. Otherwise, it'll just do 0, the first one. And there we go. And now the local data is being shown. So I know that the functionality locally works. And so now, obviously, once that call comes in with the actual data, it should work, being that I've actually utilized what they already had. Okay, so this is all hard-coded in from when I copied it. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to update it so that the local data will help out when it want to fill out anywhere the address is, anywhere the emails are, anywhere the phone number is. I'm going to do kind of a for each that goes through and just populates those. And it'll also come with it some icons as well, just for the visual. But as you see here, I'm basically putting these sections, I'll be moving over kind of to the about. And instead of the home page is going to be nice and clean. And then once they get in to the rest of it, they'll see more on the about page about their media. So I'm just doing a little tidying up. And here, if there is no blog at all, like if they don't have an address, I'm going to make sure that the blog section doesn't show up. And it's very easy. I just find out. If there is no blog, then just hide that section and we never even knew it existed. And that's fine. So we're coming together. Now I'm going to comment out the data from the blog and go ahead and upload it to my GitHub, where we know that the correct address of that GitHub will get the real data from the cross origin. It will pass that test. And so let's go see if this all works. Cool. Yeah, as you can see, I'm going to turn this back, make that call once we load. Let's go ahead and get this ready to go. And we need to view blog. Honestly, let's put it here. It's a better spot. Once we know that it's loaded, then it's the best time to hit view posts. Okay, now we're going back to the GitHub page and seeing how it works out. There we go. It looks like it worked. Now, granted, this blog has nothing to do with the restaurant, so it's just an example. Now, here is something else we're going to get to, the about. We're going to target that. We're just going through a lot of the local data and finding their place on this site. So I feel that the about is going to be nice and clean. I don't want to have too much information on it. I want to make it more stylized, and you'll see it come out a little more professional looking once time goes on. And this meat and potatoes of all this information, like these media objects, they will come later on in the about page. Now, what happens if you notice that in that media object, there's a key called type. Now, that means, is it YouTube video? Is it, an image? Is it an HTML, or is it a map? What is this? And then I'm going to compile all of these separately into their own array. And then I will have a media player basically that will coincide with each one of these. So if it's an address, then I'm going to obviously, have a map component built for this part. If it's a YouTube video, I'll have a carousel so you can go through all the videos. Now, as it images, I will have a carousel just the same, similar, so you can go through all the video or the images that are compiled here in this list. And so once it loads, just things first, I got to get them all separated out into something that they'll be ready to be used for these media players that I'm going to build. And here is where I'm testing this out. If the media type equals image, then we're going to go ahead and push this into the image addresses array. And it's just a string. So no need for the 3 dots in front of it for the iterating. But now we're going to do the same thing. The YouTube addresses, I think it's like a 10 or 11 digit code. A string, and again, a string. So we will be putting that in there. And then, they're the same thing for the HTML. This is basically just going to be like a string of HTML. So it is what it is. I think this is going to be a very helpful little area. So if you happen to have images you'd like to put in a carousel or a video, then by all means, type them up, and we'll have the CMS to do it for you. And if you want to have some kind of post, or you want a map to some kind of event, then that's fine. So let's go clean up some of these components and make things start looking nice. Yeah, I just want the whole thing needs to be kind of tidied up. As you can see, we've just been putting things together and cleaning things up, and it's time to kind of do some aesthetic work. So the HTML is just going to be cut and pasted over to the about section, because I don't think it needs to be on the home page. It's too much stuff. And the home page, I think in the future I'll probably even bring the nav bar down to the middle. and we'll have just like a one really solid sentence or about section that's not too long, but it's engaging enough to where you can go further into the page. So I think that's going to be my move. I'm still thinking about other ideas, and clearly I'm still making like the local data the way I want it, because it's not really finished just yet. So nothing's really ironclad. I'm probably coming around. I've noticed that I put like exact amounts in the recipes, and so that's not really helpful. I don't know why they would need that. Some people don't want to have like gluten, and some people don't want to eat ham, and I understand when they would probably want to know what's in it, but the amount of it, unless you're going to cook it, I would doubt you would need that information. So we'll be tailoring some of these local data pieces to fit our needs, and this is just one of the cleanup things. I'm also going to be throwing in some font awesome. Now, what we've done here is I've built a card on the home page, and at the bottom of this card that's presented in the middle, at the bottom I'm going to have obviously the address, the phone number, and the email. Now watch what I do, because this is going to be something you're going to see throughout. I mean, the email, the phone number, and the address are peppered throughout the site. So I'm going to make these something that is identifiable on multiple times over. And so, as you can see what I've done here, I'll do a for each. And the syntax is off here. I need the brackets around data address, but we'll be back for that once I find out that I've done it wrong. I'm going to do these 3 times over, because like I said, the phone, the address, and the email will be something that will just show up randomly. So we're going to hunt them down as the page loads and fill all those spots up with whatever we want. And obviously we want these to look nice, so we're going to center them. We're working locally, so I'm going to double back and start putting things together so I can see the data, and it looks like it's supposed to currently. We'll have to turn these back off again, but for now, so I can see. There we go. There we go. You got to put those brackets in there, otherwise it's not worth anything. There, looking better. And let's make these real. Like it mail to, when you click on it, let's do that email like it's supposed to. Now we'll do it also for the phone as well. So when they click on it, and I think the address, what I'm going to do is probably do we'll add the address in a URI encoding. We'll add it to the end of the Google Maps query. And so if they want to check out the address, it'll just immediately pop open Google Maps with the address on it. So I'm just going to wrap these in hrefs. That'll be more helpful for everybody. Yeah, we're coming to life here. Let's keep on moving. Yeah, we just need to make sure they can see what we're doing here. Okay, so what I need to do is wrap this address in URI encoding, and it'll be, when you click on this, I need to have this as the href. And from there, that will basically mean that when they click on it, it'll open Google Maps, and then it'll show them the address with a little pen mark in it already. Now, clearly, I've got to put the href, and then I'll put the address as shown without the URI encoding within the tags of the href. So just a quick couple of moves here, and you will see that this will work. And then we're going to go through, like I said, and put through... Font Awesome has some icons that will make this look a little more professional. We're using Font Awesome 5.2. And as you can see, there you go, Wrigley Field. That's what I use for the address. And then the mail to and the phone, those will just basically click on your device's option to phone call somebody, or their email somebody. It's all built in already. I didn't have to do any of that. Those are the default things for you. Eventually, I'm going to upload the PHP file for this as well, so you guys can see it. You're going to have, if you host it somewhere else, obviously you'll have to have some Linux to run it. So it's all working on the About page, but you can't see it. Like that, a nice background is gone. And we're going to have to tailor to fit a little bit of that. And as you can see, this one is kind of copied from a little while ago when I copied the HTML from my React project. And that's just the HTML hard-coded. For the contact, we're going to bring in what you just saw a second ago. And that will be, a little more to where it just accesses the data that it's local and whatever's chosen, as opposed to hard-coded. You never want to do that. So let's start making sure that the card is some class that we're going to start on the background, because that is what's going to have us that nice background where it makes everything legible. A pretty simple thing that Bootstrap has already provided for us. And the card has a lot of nice padding with it. And not only that, there'll be a card dash title, a card dash body, and a card dash footer if you're ever interested in using it. And they all help make it look professional and give you the right kind of padding and spacing that you would need. So I recommend it if you ever don't make it on your own if it already exists. So remember the class card in Bootstrap. Okay, so I've sectioned these off in sections, and they're all hidden until they're selected. Now, as you can see, we're down here at the contact one. I'm putting some spacing in on the contact section. And again, just like we did on the card on the homepage, we are going to have the same concept going on for this contact. Needs to have those address, and it's going to need the email and the phone number too. So we'll do the same thing. And that's why I ran a for loop, as in they're already ready to go. Here's our blog. Once the data comes in, as you can see, we've got. I'm sorry. This looks like this is the code for the menu. So I'm just cleaning this up. That's right, because it looked a little funny the way it was looking. I needed to rearrange the title of the category. Sorry. So we'll come in and we're doing that now. And it looks like I'm going to forget to close that tag, and I'm going to find out the hard way. So that div needs to have, obviously, a symbol or opening that tag correctly. That bothers me when I miss those things and find out later on. But I will find out nonetheless. So I'm accessing the P2, which is a padding -2. It goes all the way up to 5 for Bootstrap. So this is a small space between the items on the y-axis. And here I'm putting in, as we did earlier, the data address, the data phone, and the data email. And we will have the same performance that we saw on the home page, right here on the contact page. So yeah, as you can see, they're all going to be playing this game. I'm just going to move around these are the Font Awesome tags. And when you paste them in there, they get all spaced out. So you gotta kind of reconfigure them. But I'll put them in there. The italics tag is how they're delivered. And so once I get them all correct in here, you will see the result of a little more professional icons. Just visually brings more to it. Okay, we're almost finished here. We just got to get all the syntax correct, make sure all the spacing's correct. We'll get all the hard coding of anything out here eventually. Not going to need any of that. It would be no help to us. Just make sure that we have the right tag assigned. And once again, we'll do that for the mailing, the email. And so let's do a little bit more CSS for the contact map. And I just want to make it sure that it has like a minimum height, that it's filling out as best as possible. I think that just a few touches on the contact map. And we'll go ahead and save it and see how this all works on our GitHub. Yeah, it needs a little spacing, but as you can see, we're coming along. We got a menu, we got the contact, we got the about. I can see that that div needs to be corrected in the HTML over by the menu. And we're going to swap out this with the active category. So that'll change out. There we go. Move that. And we'll put the correct category whenever it's active. It'll be easier for us to do that here above. And then from the for loop will continue on we'll already assign the category at that point. And here we go. Still going to need to close that HTML, but as you can see, things are coming back together. We need to make sure that I can see the blog and there's no errors too. So unfortunately, I keep having to turn it on and off based on, yeah, okay. So based on if I'm playing locally or not. All right, that is just a little more tweaking for that HTML. Got to close that. There we go. Move this around until I feel happy, I guess. I'm just basically considering where to put the category placement, but I think I ended up putting it in the right spot at the end. We'll see me argue with myself here. Hopefully I'll stop swinging this around. It makes me dizzy. Yeah, I'm still contemplating, but it will all work out here once I've gotten my decision made. I need to see what I'm looking at, so do a little bit of testing. And turn this off so I can see it locally. Yeah, we're getting there. That breakfast above doesn't look so great, but it needs to be sized correctly. There, I finally finished with that div. Fix all this back the way it's supposed to be. Go ahead and present this to GitHub. And it's coming together, looking more professional every minute. Like I said, I don't like the way the header has the nav up top. I think I'm going to fit that somewhere else, but we'll see. This is going to be fixed real quick. Not going to be a problem. So let's go take a look and see what it looks like. There we go. We'll get the address in there correctly. And we don't need any of those. That wouldn't be correct. We need to do when you pass parameters, you have to have an and. And then the next parameter is q. And so we have to have this all done correctly. Otherwise, it'll just give you that error. So now that we have, and then q equals, so that's the correct request for the next query for Google Maps. Now that I've swung this thing up and down a billion times, let's see where we're standing. Right. So I just want to touch up a little bit and make sure that this thing looks okay in comparison to what's on the left. So you choose a category on the left, and then I want an H1, a heading 1 instead of an H3 just to get it sized correctly. There. Let's try this again. Nope. So the data category needs to be filled out. Items target in the H3. Aha. So we're going to figure this out real quick. This H3 is just living here. Right up on the top when it loads, right on top. So we got to put that to an H1. Now it looks like it works. So let's go back to the map and figure out why we got rejected. Yeah, just do the and. That'll be fine. There we go. Wrigley Field. just like every other restaurant. We can take out some of this hard coding too. But it's starting to come together. There's a lot of information going on this website now. Like they can hold events, they can have a blog. The next time we're going to come around, we'll be putting in that media components. There'll be carousels for the photos, carousels for the YouTube videos. Any kind of map or HTML content will be obviously something they can add based on what they put into the CMS that we'll be building. So get familiar with the data, the local data, and that kind of tells you what will be installed. That's what we'll be coming for our content management system. And as you can see, this is all coming together. We shall keep working on this, and I hope you're learning, how this is all coming together and learning something. So enjoy the ability to share a blog basically wherever you want to. Granted, you're going to need the blog owner has the ability to show or hide as much as they want. Any number of levels of ability to show portions of it, little teasers sometimes, just titles sometimes, and sometimes they'll show the ability to show the whole story. So enjoy that API.